Hey everyone, so today I want to talk about Gin Ichimaru because he will be dropping in about 5 days in the global side. And I kind of wanted to go over my thoughts about him because they actually have changed over the days have passed. But before we do that, I just want to talk about this skin, and it just looks really sick. I really like this skin, and I really hope that they bring more skins to the game eventually for SSR characters. You know, give us one for like Aizen. His captain outfit would be really cool. I am a little upset that that weapon's only for SR Ichigo and you can't use it on SSR. I know obviously it's not going to work because of the Shikai, but I just wish it would have definitely changed like the weapon model of it, but that's okay. That being said though, let's go ahead and talk about Gin Ichimaru. So there has been a few things that have changing his kit, and keep in mind that everything that I do talk about, it is leaked information and it is always subject to change. Just because it is different than the previous version of Gin Ichimaru, it does not mean that this is going to be the final release. That being said though, now there were some calculations, some numbers that were kind of brought down, but there were also some changes in his kit overall, and I definitely want to go over that with you guys. Now, I know this is a lot of reading, so I'm just going to try and summarize everything to make it more easier to understand. And to begin with its basic attack, Gin is just going to attack the enemy in front of him 5 times with his Shinzo, dealing damage equal to 328 of his attack. And it's going to be applying 35 impaling to the enemy. He's going to also gain spiritual pressure from his attacks. Now, if you perform a perfect dodge and quickly press the attack button, it's going to unleash a flurry of thrust damage to the enemy, dealing damage equal to 240 of his attack and applying 15 impaling to the enemy. And of course, it's going to accumulate spiritual pressure as well. So if you hold down the attack button with 50 or more spiritual pressure, it's going to deliver a thrust attack to the enemy, dealing damage equal to 220 of his attack and inflicting 10 stacks of impaling. And you will also gain 1 technique point if the attack hits the enemy. So keep that in mind. And the technique point cooldown is reduced by 1 second. Now, if you quickly press the attack button when the spiritual pressure is not less than 50, Gin is going to extend his Shinzo and is going to deal damage to 330 of his attack, inflicting 20 impaling stacks to the enemy. And it's also gain 1 technique point, and the recharge time of the technique point is reduced by 1 second. Okay, so from these two things right here, it's just based on doing whether you do the holding the attack or just, you know, quickly tapping it. It's going to give you 1 technique point, and it's going to reduce, it looks like, the cooldown by 1 second. And we're going to go over the technique points here in a little bit. Keep in mind that when you're in the technique, there's obviously going to be 3 different versions of the technique you can use, because we saw that in the video, where you can kind of charge, and then depending on how many technique points you have, you will be able to use a different attack. Now, holding down the technique button with 2 or more technique points will cause Gin to enter into a charge mode, and it's going to assume 1 technique point per charge to increase the power of the technique, and it will end once the technique points have been used. Now, keep in mind, when he enters into state, you will be invincible, meaning that you will not be able to get knocked out of your charge state, so that is a very good thing. Now, it looks like Wani has consumed the technique points. It looks like maybe with 2 or more. It will also automatically recover 1 technique point every 10 seconds, which this is really interesting at, because before the second copy, it gave you 1 technique points every 12 seconds. So I definitely want to see what they changed about that. Now, if it consumes 1 technique point, Gin is going to extend his sword to attack the enemy, dealing damage equal to 170 of his attack, inflicting 10 impalings to the enemy. With 2 technique points, he's going to extend his Shinzo to attack all enemies in a fan-shaped area, dealing damage equal to 340 of the attack, inflicting 20 impalings into the enemy, stacks of impaling. Now do keep in mind that for the second one, it sounds like an AoE attack, just like a fan-shaped in front of you, so that's pretty good for crowd control. Now for the third one, consuming 3 technique points, Gin is going to quickly cut the enemy into multiple times and will get behind them, throw them in the air, and doing damage equal to 510 of his attack. And it's going to inflict 30 stacks of impaling to the enemy. Now, I know we have been talking about impaling, but we'll get to that eventually, what that means. Now, for the ultimate, Gin quickly approaches the enemy and performs several thrusts. He's going to activate his Bankai and unleash an attack much faster to his Shikai. It's going to inflict damage equal to 1450 of the attack, applying 50 impaling to the enemy. Nice. Now, I believe here's one of the numbers that was definitely changed. I think this was a lot higher, but now it was brought down. You just basically counter dealing 580 of the attack, and you're gonna apply 30 impalings to the enemy. And you will gain 2 technique points from successfully countering. So keep that in mind. That's really, really, really good. Makes me wonder if it's going to work really, really good with Aizen. But that being said, this is where we get to learn what impaling does. So whenever you reach 100 points, it's going to activate, dealing damage equal to 400 of your attack to the enemy. And if impaling is activated by any teammate attack, it's going to count as if Gin had activated himself. So that means that you probably don't have to switch to Gin anymore. You can actually just do it with your teammates, which is pretty good. Second passive is going to increase spiritual pressure charge by 50% when you hit with a basic attack. Second passive, when dealing damage of impaling is activated, the recharge time of technique points is reduced by 30 seconds. It has a cooldown of 4 seconds. So this just basically makes it that you get your technique points faster based on what I'm understanding. And for the final one, it's just an extra 90% damage to debuff that enemy. So that should be pretty easy, because if you're running Rangiku, Gin, and Tozen, obviously they will apply some type of DOT damage, but it looks like bleed. And as long as they're in that state, you will do 90% extra damage. So that's pretty good. Now, I definitely want to go over his dupes, because like I said, they definitely did change a little bit. Now, for the first one, you're going to gain 100 technique points immediately upon entering battle. This just sounds... I don't know about this. This sounds interesting. I don't know if this is accurate, but... After using the ultimate, fully recovered technique points. 100? That is... I don't know. This particular, in my opinion, doesn't sound right. I feel like maybe it's just a mistranslation or something, but I could be wrong. But 100 technique points just sounds broken, because if you're only using 1, 2, or 3, that's just, you will never get to use 100 of them. It just doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding something, but I don't know. That's what I'm seeing myself. Second dupe is going to increase the damage dealt by techniques by 6%. Hitting enemies with a final hit of basic attack reduces skill technique points cooldown by 12 seconds. Okay, so just get more technique points. That's pretty good. Fourth one is just going to increase damage of impaling by 150%. Hitting enemies with a final hit of basic attacks will give you 1 technique point. Final copy. The ultimate is going to inflict snake venom on the enemy, dealing damage equal to 150 of the attack. Of the attack of the enemy. And after 12 seconds, dealing damage equal to 50% of the total damage dealt during those 12 seconds. So easy way to explain this, it looks like his snake venom does 150 of the attack of the enemy for 12 seconds. And whatever damage is dealt in those 12 seconds is going to get 50% of that damage is just going to explode, basically. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Kafka. Like after you have all the DOTs on the enemies, you just kind of use her skill to like make all of them explode and take all that damage. But when charging the technique, an additional area of effect attack is launched without interrupting the charge. The attack range increases... Wait, what? The attack's range increases with the charge time, dealing damage equal to of their attack. Okay. Okay. So, that being said, I feel like Gin is in a very awkward situation, because there's a couple things that I am scared when it comes to thrust team. So obviously I feel like people should be skipping him. There's 2 reasons why, or yeah, that I can think of right now. The first one is obvious. We already have a DPS for thrust team. We have Ikaku. We also have a pretty good character as for a tactical unit, which is Tozen. And Rangiku should be given for free as well, with her weapon and her core stamp, hopefully. So then you can just implement her into your team, and then you should be set. So that is one of the reasons, obviously. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have gone pretty hard in the banner of Aizen. So you might be out of Jades. So you can kind of use this 3 weeks to save for Gin. You can always test your luck with like maybe 10 or 20 pulls at most and see if you get him. But I feel like after that, you shouldn't. Just save for whatever the next character is. And the second reason is because of Grimmjow. Now, I am a little bit scared, obviously, because I will be summoning for Gin. But I also don't want to invest in him, because I feel like, what is the point if Grimmjow is going to come out to be a DPS for the Thrust team? So I am a little bit conflicted personally myself, and I'm just going to probably have to wait a little bit on leaks and see how that goes. But I really, really hope that they do something about that, because I can't seem to wrap my head around releasing one DPS character and then have already another DPS lineup for the same attribute. If anything, I really hope they make him like Aizen, the tactical unit for the thrust team, make him pretty beefy, pretty strong, because Grimjow's a very popular character. But again, I don't know. That's just me speculating, throwing out my thoughts. So hopefully before his banner leaves, we get some more confirmation and information who the next units are going to be. My speculation is going to be something with the strike team. So there is one little fear that I have, kind of like they did with Aizen. So obviously we had Toshiro as a 5-star DPS unit for the Spirit team, and then they released Aizen, another Spirit 5-star. So I've been in my head about, I'm like, what if they release Gin Ichimaru and then they release Grimjow next? I'm like, no, there's no way they're gonna do that. But in a way, we got a little bit played when it came to Aizen himself. But I really hope that the next units are gonna be probably Soifon for the strike team, and maybe Mayuri. That way you can kind of already have that team set up, and then after that, I feel like they're just gonna start randomly throwing a bunch of units into different attributes. But that's just obviously my guess and my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you're skipping Gin Ichimaru. I won't. I'll be doing a summons video and a showcase as well. But other than that, I hope you guys have been safe, been good, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.